Good afternoon, everyone. My name's Josh Christy, and I'm here representing my company, Codelation. And I was told a little bit earlier that I'm being confused with the Vikings data guy. If that's the case, better not ask me any Vikings questions, because I think the answer is put Aaron Rodgers in. So probably won't have good advice for you there. Anyway, my name's Josh, and this is my family. I am up here today talking about startups, starting about how we can learn from startups and implement this in your business. And a little bit about me. I've been a technologist for as long as I can possibly remember. I remember growing up with the Commodore 64. My dad had a Macintosh 2FX at work. And I've always been a fan of technology and programming and all of those things. My first real job was when I was 14, and I worked for the Fargo School District. We'd go wipe computers in the first half of the summer and then pull Ethernet cable and wire up computer labs in the second half of the summer. And it was then I really realized the power of leverage and how we can think outside of the box. I then went up to Grand Forks to get my degree up at UND and snuck out with a degree in graphic design with a 2.4 GPA, went on to grad school, and immediately got thrown out. So you may be wondering, why listen to this guy? Well, those have been a lot of my failures, but I've also gone on to start a number of startups as well that some have done well and some have not. One thing that we've done that's done really, really well is our company Codelation. And what we do at Codelation is we help people with standout ideas create outstanding startups. And we've been fortunate enough to work with a lot of clients, big enterprise, small startups, but at the end of the day, the problem's still the same thing. It's finding a problem and creating value around it. So what we transactionally do at Codelation is we consult, we design, we develop. We help these organizations create value within their startup, within their business. We've been fortunate enough to work with large brands such as Residio, which is a spin out of Honeywell, Neil Patel Digital, as well as a number of startups. A few local here, Harvest Profit, Be More Colorful, 101 Financial, and also subscribers.com, just to name a few. What we see as a huge level of success for us, kind of my metric is, can the startup outgrow us? Can we provide enough value to where the product that we've helped develop, they can stand on their own? Can it be leveraged, get taken outside of the organization? And that's kind of our metric of can the customer outgrow us? And so we found, working with startups, that there's 7 steps to success. What we found is our 7 steps to success: think big, start small, reverse engineer the problem, Moscow prioritization, SLC, the big Mo, stay accountable, and celebrate. And I'm going to walk you through all of these and why they're applicable to your business, even though you may not be a startup. I mentioned earlier that we have done a number of startups ourselves. The majority of them have failed. And the main reason that they've failed is that we did not abide by the think big, start small methodology. When we say think big, start small, we challenge our partners, our clients, to go out and say, what is it going to be in 18 months, 12 months, 6 months? What do you want to be? What's your North Star? And how can we align to that? We like to start really, really small. And by really, really small, it forces us to identify what is the problem we're trying to solve. What is the target market? We're not even trying to apply features yet. We don't even know if there's a problem we're trying to solve. So many times we find that our customers, our partners, they're immediately saying, if I just had the app to build the app to go do the thing, we're being successful. And that's not always the case. You need to know that if there's a target market that has a problem first, and that's where we like to start. We really like to challenge our partners to do so. The second step is reverse engineer. By looking out 18, 12, 6 months into the future, could be longer, we're able to say, what is success? and I'll use kind of a weight loss analogy here as I'm trying to tighten up around the holiday times. If I want to lose 30 pounds, that's great, but it's not actionable. When do I want to lose 30 pounds by? What steps can I take? I then can look at it and say, all right, if I lose a pound per week, I'm now successful, right? Pound a week, that's not bad. But you also need to think about what failure looks like. Is failure acceptable? If I lost half a pound a week, is that okay? If I had a bad week, is that okay? It helps you frame in with your team what success and what failure is. It gives you kind of the bumper bowling version of life, because it's not going to go as planned. There's going to be things that are going to crop up in the middle of what you're working on. There's going to be distractions. People are going to have sick leave. People are going to have issues. And so what is success? What is failure? We really want to frame those in. Third, Moscow. This is a mouthful. So Moscow prioritization. We immediately think Moscow mules, right? No? No one? Okay, maybe a couple. I know who you are. We're not talking about Moscow mules. We talk about Moscow prioritization, which is your must-haves, your should-haves, your could-haves, and your won't-haves. And I'm sure we've all worked on projects to where you have a key stakeholder in the project and they say, everything here is important, we have to do all of these things. What happens? The project falls on its face, nothing gets done, timelines are missed, budget goes up. By sitting down and prioritizing what your must-haves are, that immediately puts a priority above your should-haves. Your could-haves are low-cost tweaking things. It's not a major functionality. If they don't make it in, fine, not a big deal. And your won't-haves, we just leave those alone. We don't even consider touching those at this point. Because what's going to happen with a typical development process is that you're going to run into edge cases you haven't seen, you're going to run into business rules you haven't been thinking about, and project's going to stretch out, budget's going to go over. And so by putting a priority in place, it really helps frame those in. I'll give an example of a current client we have. His name's Kevin. And Kevin's a wonderful gentleman. And he reached out to me the other day and he says, Josh, in version 1.1 of this app, we must have general ledger functionality. I said, Kevin, that's wonderful. What the hell is general ledger functionality? And he goes, well, we have a payment processor, and we need to be able to take the payments out of that, put it into our QuickBooks account, so we can know where the money's going. I said, all right, that's fair. I said, let me challenge you on our prioritization. And I said, if our payment processor currently has an export, we can get a CSV file out, and our QuickBooks has an import, can we then integrate that into QuickBooks through an import, and does that solve your problem? He goes, well, I guess so. I said, awesome, we just saved 2 weeks and $10,000, so congratulations, we win. We try to force everyone to look at things through the lens of how you're spending your money. It may make sense for Kevin to have the general ledger functionality in the app, but is it a pain point? How often are you doing it? Maybe once a month? If you had to go into your credit card processor, pull down a CSV file and import it into QuickBooks once per month, is that really that bad of a thing? It might take you an hour. You're going to still have to justify those accounts, but at the end of the day, you're saving money and focusing on what is the problem. For him, this was not a must-have. It was not a problem. How many people have heard of the concept of an MVP, a minimum viable product? Awesome, nobody. So the concept of a minimum viable product is we want to be able to develop some software with the minimum feature set that has the highest viability to our target market. We like to reframe it a little bit differently. I've stole this from Jason Cohen. He blogs at asmartbear.com. And he's coined the phrase simple, lovable, and complete. And for me, this really connected because minimum and simple are two completely different words that have different meanings behind them. If I'm able to deliver a simple, lovable, and complete product, it's like unboxing that favorite technology you have. If you're a Microsoft person, it's a Surface. If you're an Apple fanboy or girl, it's a new iPhone. You're experiencing that complete simplicity of the product. It's lovable because it's in your ecosystem, and it's absolutely a complete product in your eyes. And so we challenge everyone to focus on what is that core feature that you're going to need to develop in your app, in your business, that's gonna have the highest market fit, is gonna solve the target problem that you're focusing on, and you're not caring about all the extra settings and all the extra integrations, and yeah, it could do this. Focus on what's required. Step 5. This is from John C. Maxwell's book, The 21 Irrefutable Laws of Leadership. This is actually his 16th law of leadership, which is momentum. I'm sure we've all been part of projects or organizational groups to where every step feels like you're in sand, you're in mud, you're just not getting anywhere. Every little bump in the road is a major failure. Every win isn't recognized. We challenge everyone to champion for momentum, whether we're building a product, building a team, whatever it may be. If we can generate momentum, it allows us to go over those speed bumps a little easier. If we're winning, it's easier for the team to be recognized for that. If you hit a little bit of rocky ground, it's easier to go over. Momentum raises everything up and doesn't make it look like this is the thing that's going to, end the project. In my spare time, I jokingly say that with 3 kids and running a business during the day, we're building a freemium product we're attempting to launch this December. And as part of that, I've been recording a video series, 7 to 10 minutes, what we've been working on that day for the product. And today is day 25 of 75. So best my math can do is we're a third of the way there. And we've been uploading those videos to YouTube and to LinkedIn recently. YouTube, I haven't gotten any traction at all with. LinkedIn, just a couple little likes, a couple little comments. That little bit of momentum you start feeling has kept me with the videos. And it's very similar when you're building an app, building a team, or in a startup. You want to get that momentum going, and just every little win helps you to keep the wheels moving. Step 6 is accountability. We have our priority. We know what the target market is. We know what problem we're trying to solve. We've got everyone aligned. Now, once you get off to the races and you start building the thing, we need to make sure we're holding each other accountable. Now, accountability in our world is not a top-down, do what I say or else. It's we agreed as a team that we're going to be doing these functions. We need everyone to rise the tide so that all the ships come along with. We need to hold each other accountable to these processes, hold each other accountable to our prioritization, because it's so easy within a project to be able to stop and say, wait, this is now on fire. I think I've got 120 Slack messages to prove that point as of this morning from being here. So accountability is a wonderful thing. It's not a top-down, but it's a hold each other across the board. Step 7, anyone remember the mask? No? Come on, give me something here. All right, thank you. Step 7 is celebrate. And it's P-A-R-T-Y, because I gotta. Celebrate the small wins. Celebrate the code releases. Celebrate the fact that you're actually solving a problem someone cares about. Celebrate the fact that you're on time, you're under budget. Celebrate the fact that you're over budget. Celebrate something. Just celebrate that you're making movement, that you're solving a problem, and you're really helping to move the needle forward. And so these are the 7 steps that I like to use when we're working with our businesses, with our startups. And I wanted to hold some extra time for questions in the end here, because I'm really not a big stage speaker. So thank you. My call to action is, if this has been any bit of value for anybody here, Please check out our podcast or video series at Codelation.com. We'd love to find out a way that we could help you. I'd like to open it up just for any questions that may be for the last 10 or so minutes here.
Do you have any tips of getting investors in the initial startup process to buy in?
Investors as in monetary investors or?
Yeah.
Okay. Whenever you're talking with somebody about money, especially an outside party, they're looking at it as risk. How can I de-risk the project that I'm funding? And it goes back down to who's the team you're working with. Do they have they completed this task before? Can they complete these tasks? And so that would be my biggest recommendation is when you're working with someone that's going to fund this, you need to be able to show them how are you going to de-risk the project. And having a process and system in place is definitely a big piece to do that. Sure. Step one is think big and start small, and that's really intentional to be thinking out into the future. But you want to start with the smallest possible thing that you can so that you can have an actionable win. Because if you've got too many parts that you're trying to work out at once, you're going to get a little way in a lot. I think it's the Nick Offerman, Ron Swanson joke of my dad never told me to half-ass two things, whole-ass one thing. So that's step one. Step two is reverse engineer. You, in similar fashion, want to look out into the future. Where are we going to go? Where are we going to be at? What is a win and what is a loss? So if you've got those goalposts in place, you're able to understand as a team, we've got a stretch goal, we've got a win, we've got a loss at this point. Everything in the middle is kind of gray area. And then third is Moscow prioritization, which is the must-haves, should-haves, could-haves, and won't-haves. All right. Well, thank you all very much for your time today. I'll be around for a little bit afterwards if anyone does have any other questions. So, thank you.